Hi, Fashion Dolls. It is Wednesday, January 3rd, and welcome back to an all new season of Style by Stevie. Please forgive me for my tardiness today, Fashion Dolls, but I'm feeling like an alien superstar, so I had to go all out with the head jewels and the jewels on my nails and everything for this new season. You guys know that I was going to bring the drama. Please forgive me for my tardiness. I hope you guys all are doing awesome as I am. Hey, brother. Shout outs to my brother K Tukes at the K Tukes spot. Make sure you guys please go and check out his talk show and platform. I'm feeling a little bit of Beyonce's Renaissance, which is today's inspiration for today's look. And you guys look closer, you see the jewels on the eyelids, you see the jewels on the nails. I hope you guys are all doing awesome and feeling awesome as I am. And look at my dress, y'all. I wanted to do something a little bit different, so please forgive me. My apologies for being fashionably late. But our very special guest today is an award-winning film producer and writer and director, and I'm super excited to have him here. So again, please forgive me for my tardiness, Fashion Dolls. As you can see, I had to be a little bit fashionably late, so please forgive your girl. But we are going to get into today's show, and we are going to have some fun with today's special guest. He is an award-winning film producer, writer, and director from the Rhode Island area, and I'm super excited to have him here. Let's give a warm, hearty welcome to our very special guest, Vega Montanez. Hello, hello, and welcome to the Dollhouse. Greetings.
What's up? What's up? Nice to meet you.
It is such a pleasure to have you here. So before we get into this interview, Happy New Year 2024. We
Happy New
made it.
Year.
Yes.
It's time to
So
get to work.
before we yeah, before we get into our interview today, how did you celebrate your New Year's kicking it off?
New Year. I really didn't do anything too crazy. We were supposed to be doing a drone show in New York, and unfortunately, that didn't quite work out. There was a little bit of technical difficulties. I'm blaming the fireworks and the bolts. Other people are blaming magnetics and more scientific stuff because they know better than me. So, what do I know? Um, and then after that, I just went to a little New Year's party with some cool peoples. Nothing too wild. That was all. I'm not
All
really a
right.
New Year's person. I'm a Christmas person.
Me
Christmas
too.
is the big deal. You
I,
know what I mean?
I love Christmas. How did you spend your Christmas also as well too? Because I know my brother went to Florida, and the rest of the family, my mom and myself, we cooked Christmas dinner for the family, so we had to go and deliver plates to everybody. That's what we did for Christmas. But how did you celebrate your Christmas?
My mom came down. I'm living in New York now, and she's still in Rhode Island. So she came down with my siblings, and it was a nice little family thing. We went over to my cousin's house and did some Christmas stuff there with her newborn, or not newborn. I think he's 1 or 2 now. Stole my birthday. You know what I'm saying? Decided to be born on the same day as me, so it's whatever. And yeah, we just kind of kicked it. It's cool. But I just love the Christmas feel, everything like the decorations, the music, the lights. Just Christmas is just it.
So do you still have, let me ask you this, because there's been a whole debate about it online, about
Yeah,
people
nah,
still
it's
having.
not coming down till Three Kings Day.
All right, there you go.
I'm Dominican as fuck, so it's not coming down till Three Kings Day.
Let's get right into it. Since you talk about your Dominican background, now
Mhm.
you hail from Providence, Rhode Island. That is your birthplace. Tell us, what was it like for you growing up, and did you always knew that filmmaking would be a passion of yours? And I have family in New York, so I'm pretty sure you've heard of Syracuse, New York, and Brooklyn. I have family there as well.
Okay.
So tell us, what was it like for you growing up in Providence, Rhode Island?
So funny thing, I was actually born in New York. We moved from New York to Rhode Island when I was like 12 or so. And then I call Providence home because that's really where I feel like I came to life. You know what I'm saying? I got to really grow into who I was pretty much going to be as a person, you know what I'm saying, outside of the changes we make as adults and so on. But for the most part, like Prop City is home. You know what I mean? That's home base. That's the place where, you just learn to be a man. At least that's what it was for me. So Providence is a real interesting place because it's the smallest, like it's Rhode Island's the smallest state in the country. And Providence is probably the smallest capital city. I've never actually looked into it. So it's a lot of close relation, a lot of people that you get to know growing up that really don't ever disappear because there's just not that many people. So you get to really establish long lasting relationships for better or worse. You know what I mean? For better or worse. As far as wanting to be in film my whole life, I have one person in my life, like I said, attributed to the longevity of relationships in Rhode Island. I have one person in my life who has known me since like middle school, and she reminds me every now and then that when we met back then, I told her I was going to write a book, make a movie, write a music album, and make a video game before the end of my life. You know what I mean? So I guess in that facet, filmmaking was always kind of in the plan. But I really didn't get the full push to be a filmmaker until around like 2015, 2016. You know, I was already doing pretty well in music. I was meeting a lot of really dope people, met some really cool actors and connected with some friends. And one of them asked me to write a script. I wrote that. We ran around trying to get funding. Didn't quite work out. I put it down. I was like, I'm going to just stick to music for now. That seems to be working a lot better. And then a little bit before the pandemic, I was already kind of in a mindset of like, all right, I'm going to try to make a movie now. So once that hit, it was just a no-brainer. It was like, let's just make a movie. So I reached out to as many different acting and filmmaking friends as I could muster up. And we put together a nice little production. And, 12 awards later, 5 or 6 movies later, this is now life.
And you've mentioned
Oh,
you've
shout
earned
out
over
Face
20.
Picasso is one of the best makeup artists in the world right there that just came out. I'm telling you. Picasso.
Now, you've mentioned awards. You've won 12 international awards.
Mhm.
Not only that, you've mentioned networking with a lot of people that are in the industry. You've come to link arms with Dame Dash Studios in partnership with Homestead Entertainment. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, right now we're hoping that the partnership is going to continue growing and brewing. They're looking at our 2 newest films right now to see what we could do with them. But I'm really blessed to have met. So Omar Salgado is the representative that I talk to and really speak to the most, and then he's the one that's kind of my day-to-day guy. And I'm really blessed to have him in our corner. You know what I'm saying? Like he really pushes for the best things that we can make possible with everything that we work on. So it's a real blessing, and it's crazy because being in music and then getting this opportunity through Dame Dash when I go into film is insane. So it's been a really cool experience. We're hoping to just kind of keep building and building. So I'm thankful.
Your debut film, The Hurt We Share, earned 12 international awards. What's the reaction knowing that this project, because it's an amazing project, has garnered in all of these nominations and awards?
And we just crossed 500,000 views. So it's doing some amazing things, to be honest, man. The Hurt We Share is pushing even more than I had originally expected it to, right? Like everybody who was involved with that project, and one of the things I'm really proud of with that project is to kind of set the stones in place for the way that I would be operating. Fast forward to 4 years later, and that whole mentality around how we got that done is just building and getting better and better every time we work together. My boy Ace just logged in. You know what I'm saying? That's one of our script supervisors. He's a crew driver, holds it down. Like we all do a little bit of everything. So but with The Hurt We Share, when we first set out to make that movie, I told everybody like, hey, like this is our first film. There's tons of stuff working against us, all the negativity, but the one thing I'm promising everybody who's involved in this project is it will come out and it will have an impact on your career moving forward. And I think I would never take full credit for anybody's career at any point in their life. But I would like to think that everybody who was involved feels pretty good about what the movie did for them. Like so far for me, it's done a lot of amazing things. It's opened up tons of doors. And then getting that reception, right? Because it's like, I tell people all the time, we've become so trained to only acknowledge the things that we're told to acknowledge as valuable, right? So,
Yeah.
what's an Oscar compared to, somebody from their house saying that you're their favorite director, right? Like those are still strangers deciding that your quality of work is good. So for me, that was the biggest takeaway with these awards. It was like people all over the world that I've never met, that I probably won't ever meet, um, are saying that this is a good movie, you know, and this was our first film. This was our first attempt. We did this in the most guerrilla way possible. I had a 4-man crew. Like a lot of what we did didn't really make sense. But we got it done. And that's the thing that I'm most proud of. So even when I look at the film now and I'm like, ooh, that really doesn't reflect where we are as a team right now, skill wise and quality wise and all that. I never take away from the fact that it reflected where we were at that time. And at that time, we were still pretty damn great.
And not only that, but I commend you for your drive because you have some upcoming projects that'll be coming out this
Mm-hmm.
year as well too in 2024. So I'm looking forward to that. And you have written over 24 scripts in the past 18 months. So you said doing this with a 4-man team, where does the willpower and the drive come from for you?
Well, now our team is a little bigger than 4 people, thank God. You know what I'm saying? Shout out the whole 3-con
Yeah.
team. Um, but you know, it's the thing that drives me, and this is gonna sound mad funny. I try to warn people all the time, right? Like the number one thing that drives me is I'm selfish, right? Like I'm making this movie because I want to watch this movie. You know, then after that point of it, it's like everyone around me fuels me because, again, my selfishness, I don't want to be the person to let my people down, right? So now that I got to see the movie, whatever their expectations are now my expectations of it, right? So are we going to sell this movie? Is this going to be on Netflix? Is it going to be on HBO? Like, what are we truly aiming for? And how far are we from hitting those marks as we continue doing things? Because the number one thing I believe in for the team is consistency. You know, we don't stop. Like and I address this all the time in like the most respectful way I possibly can. But it's like when I look at people who call themselves filmmakers or who've been doing this for a long time, they'll make one film and then they kind of just sit with that forever. And then that is
Right.
the thing. And they're just waiting for the next deal or waiting. And now we got to get up and move, get up and get going, you know? And I think that that's energy that I bring from being an artist, right? Like being a musician and hip hop artist, you don't have any way to like go to this festival and sell your album and then like you have to actually go out and grind and put the audience in put the people in the rooms that's going to cheer for you, you know. So I kind of bring that same approach to what we do, which is why we had both of our premieres this year were almost sold out. And when we say almost sold out, we're talking about 300 plus cap venues. We're not saying like 100 seats or 300 plus cap, almost $100 a ticket, and we almost sold out, right? And this is indie level films where we're going way beyond what people expect to be happening, you know, and that's just again a testament to the team I have around me to make it happen.
And not only that, but you talk about team as well too, and you give back. You're working on launching the Latino Film Club, which aims to provide a resource for aspiring filmmakers and filmmakers of color, and that is important in this business, especially for filmmakers and writers and producers of color. How important is that to you?
It's honestly something that really became more and more important as I grew. So this initiative is something that, alongside Alicia Wright, one of my co-producers on Burden, uh, we kind of just started really looking around and saying, "Wow, like what are the opportunities or what are the things that are out here for Latinos in cinema when we're talking about the idea that there's not enough of us in cinema."
Yeah.
Right? Like if we keep saying if all we're putting is a spotlight on the idea that there's 30 films and only one Latino was cast across those, that's a waste of time. We're just flashing a light, right? Like we could be doing something way better with that light, like lighting up a path for us to make stuff. You know what I mean? And that's really all it comes down to. I think there's a lot of mentalities in the film space that are going to take a long time to break. Like I have no intention on being the person trying to change everybody's mind, but there's just certain mentalities that have to go away in order for a lot of the things that we want to see change as people of color really change. You know what I'm saying? And the first step is less complaining and more action. You know what I'm saying? We get it. Yes, we all understand the odds are against us in every deck you point out, but we still got to play.
Absolutely. and keep going and break down shattering glass ceilings for people of color, filmmakers of color. Now, speaking of success, you've also had three well received hip hop independently produced albums. So, what was the process like recording these projects?
Um, I love the science of sound, so I got into music really, really early in life because my pops was a DJ. And then, after I hit the right age, I started DJing. I was DJing nightclubs at the age of 13. Then from that, got into the actual production work and writing lyrics and rapping and all of this. So those albums kind of were just put together from a real space of like, this is what I do, right? And for me, the I've always been different in the sense like the career that I'm pursuing is always something that's tied to who I am as a person. So this is who I am, right? Like my job and who I am are not entirely separated. In the way that like you wouldn't consider yourself, Cox Communications if you're a customer service rep for them, right? Like you have a separation there. For me, there's no real separation. So when it came to the music, a lot of it is what I call introspective rap. It's really just talking about the things that I feel or the things that I see or the lens that I'm looking at the world through, and just kind of giving that perspective on paper, on audio, so you can hear it back and maybe spark some thoughts of your own, and I kind of just translate that same mentality to my writing in film, which I feel like is way easier in film because I get to actually make people, right? So I could give you these examples rather than putting them in a nice metaphor or simile or dope bar, right? I could just put it into a whole character that you could connect with, whether you like the character, love the character, hate the character. Like there's a connection that's happening there that's based on what you're experiencing from the screen, from the writing.
Absolutely. Now, creativity. How do you get in your element when you're creating characters or producing these albums? What zone, like what sets you in your zone when you're creating? What type of music do you like to listen to when you're in your zone?
Um, I feel like the music is really kind of geared towards the type of writing I'm trying to do. And I don't know if that's ever been intentional. It just kind of happens that way. So, like, if I'm writing a horror film, like, it just tries to be a little darker music, like,
Right.
right, like more intense. If I'm writing a comedy, I usually am listening, like, I'm writing a comedy. I'm usually like watching TV. Like, there's just something funny playing in the background. Like so for me, it's just there always has to be that audio space filled. There's nothing specific that I fill it with. It just always has to be some sort of sound going on. So like right now it's mad quiet. This is super out of the norm, right? Like usually I'll have like either a TV on or a speaker playing or something. Um, and that's kind of like the big element for me. The other thing that I found, and I don't know what exactly this is tied to, but I do my best work in motion. So like on the train, on the bus, when I'm driving,
Mm.
which is mad dangerous because I really be writing while I'm driving. I've been trying not to do that a lot because I don't know what it is, but like I get the most crazy sparks once I'm outside in the real world and on the move. Like the world itself just kind of inspires me and puts me in this like weird creative space where there's times that I get so deep into my creative thought that it feels like I'm not even walking in our world. I'm walking through this world that's being created in this whole fantasy land. You know what I'm saying? I was working on a was working on a fantasy story that I'm hoping I can finish because then I'll be able to say I got a fantasy script coming, some Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones type stuff. And I was walking through the park and it just kind of for a second I just had to shake my head and snap back because it just felt like I was walking through what I was putting in the story, right? Like this forest of like elves and dwarves and weird like magic and all this stuff, and like everything just felt a little more vibrant. So I think, yeah, for whatever reason, in motion is where I get the most stuff done. If I'm sitting down, I'm really ineffective.
So that kind of ties into my next question. Which film or theater production inspired you the most to get into filmmaking?
Um, these people are gonna hate me by the time that we ever meet, but like, there's a movie called The Terrifier that I hated so much, It was literally the final nail in the coffin for me to say, no, I'm gonna make a movie. Like I was watching the movie about 15 minutes in, I just stopped and I was like, this is insane. This is on Netflix right now. And I was like, I'm gonna go write this movie. This is crazy. And I got up and just started writing from that point. Um, so from a negative perspective, it was that. From a positive perspective, I think my storytelling style is really inspired by the type of movies my mother loves. So like horror, thriller, suspense, things that get the mind kind of working and thinking and tinkering. And then there's the fusion of my own desire to just kind of tell stories that feel culturally connected to me, right? Like I
Yeah.
loved watching the Godfather movies, right? Like those Italian style
Mm.
movies. And I can't imagine what being an Italian kid watching that felt like, right? So like I want to tell stories like that for Dominican kids, right? Or for Latino kids as a whole, or for black kids as a whole, because I fit into all of these buckets, right? Where now we could watch a movie about uh freaking the Haitian Revolution, right? The Haitian French Revolution, and get to see firsthand like somebody we can point at in Haitian history and be like, that right there is the guy to be. You know what I'm saying? The way we look at Don Corleone, and you're like, yeah, Corleone. That's like even for our own culture in hip hop, like who do we refer to when we talking about being a top boss? Right? We talking about being Italian. You know what I'm saying? Like, how do we change that imagery? So those two things kind of fused together is really where my brain is always kind of tinkering.
What skills have you learned that have helped you gain? Well, what skills have you gained that have helped you perform effectively as a writer?
Um, what skills have I gained? Like recent time or just across the board?
It, across the board throughout your career, because you do it all. You wear so many hats. You write, you direct.
I think for directing is where I've picked up the most external skill sets. I think, uh, and without sounding too egotistical, but I think I'm one of the lucky people who was blessed with the ability to write. Like it doesn't take a lot of effort. I've never taken classes. Like I've always just been able to write really interesting stories. In the same way that there's just people who really sing well, or there's just people who are really good at basketball, right? Like so, I think I fall into that bracket where if I work a little harder, I might be even more great, but like I might not work hard enough. Something to think about. But in the directing space, and I want to pick that space specifically because I feel like the the skills that I feel like make me a great director come from experiences that no one would really imagine, right? Like I feel like one of the greatest skills I have on set is team building and dynamic leadership, right? For me, when I think about the experiences I have in life that really made that possible, it comes from working retail, right? And being able to navigate the space of the holiday sales where you got to deal with three customers at a time all asking you for a bunch of stuff while talking
Yeah.
to your supervisor, or if you are the supervisor dealing with 15 different employees that all got issues and all the right, and trying to navigate all this space and just saying, how do we make sure that when we get to the end of the day, we made the thing we set out to make, which in that case is make the money, right? Nobody died along the way, right? Safety for the most part, you know what I'm saying? And everybody wants to come back tomorrow, right? Whether in most cases in retail that has strictly to do with the money, right? But when you think about if you've ever worked retail, or for anybody listening who's worked retail, when you think about your favorite job you worked at, it wasn't about the money, it was the people you was working with. You know what I mean? They made it so that every time you showed up to work, sure, these weren't people you were turning into full-time friends and inviting out to the bar after work. But when you showed up to work, you had your little inside jokes, you had your little games you played, you had your little contests, your little workplace relationships and boundaries, and right, all these little things that makes for a nice community. That for me, I pulled all of my experience dealing with all of that and just like, this is how you navigate people to the best of your ability, right? So that everybody, like I said, we get the job done, nobody dies along the way, and everybody want to come back tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Especially in creative work where you need everybody to come back tomorrow because it could throw the whole game off if they don't.
Right. And we already had enough of that this year with the strikes going on and so many things. People, it put a pause on everything.
Mhm.
So having to regroup. What is the regrouping process like for you? Do you ever get writer's block as a writer?
I don't get writer's block as a writer because, like I said, I think I fall in that category of people who's just blessed to have this skill set. The other side that's more intentional is when I start to feel stuck on a script, I just change stories, right? Like I'm never working on just one thing at a time. So if I'm working on a script and I get to a place where I'm like, all right, well, now this is starting to sound a little boring what I'm writing, or I'm not really making any progress, or I'm just like, all right, let me if I'm still in the mood to write, I'm just gonna switch to a different thing to write. Right. And I'll just pick from one of the other scripts I'm working on. Whoop, now re-excited, that flame is lit again. I'm thinking on a whole different concept. So there's new imagination is being sparked. Boom, I'm good to go. Right. Then maybe while I'm writing that, something will happen. I'll be like, oh, I got it. I'll go back to the other thing I was working on. That problem solved now too. And everything is nicely taken care of. I try not to overwhelm myself with multitasking, but I always have a couple of things I'm doing at a time.
And that was going to be my next question for you also too. With us both being in the entertainment business, you're always on the go. You're always having to multitask. And I know for me, it's difficult with having to balance out family and then knowing this platform. For you, how do you find that balance with multitasking?
I'm still working out the personal side of things, right? Like being better at reaching out to my friends and seeing friends and family and like coordinating that stuff. But I think one of the big things that I advise anybody listening, no matter what type of small business you're in, if you are doing anything where you manage your own schedule to any degree, you have to make a real job schedule, right? So for me, for example, right on a day to day, Monday through Friday, unless there's something happening that day, right? So like if we have a scheduled shoot, I'm going to Vegas next week, so my day to day schedule is going to be a little different. But on a regular day to day, when I'm just at home base, it's up by like 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. Take care of Buddy. That's my dog. Make sure he's good to go. Feed him, take him outside, all of that, right? And then from 8:30, 9 o'clock to 6 o'clock, I'm working, right? I'm at work. That is on the schedule. I am at work. Everything I do from 9 o'clock until 6 o'clock needs to fall in the category of work, right? And then once I figure out that block every week, usually Sunday, I go through and I try to think about everything that I need to get done, right? And I'm just like, all right, what are all the things that are really important that I'm trying to do? Or go back to my OKR 3, right? Where I got my 3 objectives for the quarter. Like these are the 3 things that need to be done this quarter. So what within these spaces, what are some things I could work on, right? I try to make a list of 25 to 30 tasks that need to get done this week. And then every day just go through and check stuff off. You know what I mean? By the
And
end of the week, you got to make that. It helps you measure your progress. You know if you're actually working. If not, so it makes a difference.
absolutely. And I'm always making notes. I have like my vision board and I've got put my mantras and quotes and little things on there. And I also make reminders in my phone as well too. Like I have a little planner book that I throw in my handbag.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever I'm on the go, or I put things in my phone as well too, just to give me a little reminder every day so that I know what I need to do. And so far it's been pretty well, but it is difficult having to balance both out with family and then being in the entertainment business because you have to make time for everybody, but you're
Mm-hmm.
always in demand. So I definitely 100%.
Yeah, I'm one of my producer partners, Cosmo, was recommending that I start setting a specific day of the week. That's just, you know what I mean? Like, so I was thinking of start using Sundays, especially since I do church stuff, right? So might as well turn Sunday into that day where it's like, okay, cool. Sundays, I'm gonna try not to do any work, right? Like if anything comes to mind and just pops up, of course I'm gonna still do it, right? Same with like my 9 to 6 schedule, right? All day long, I'm really trying to focus on just getting work done. If something comes up at 9 o'clock at night and I'm like, oh yeah, I need to get that done, and I still got the energy, I'm still gonna do it. But the goal is to get all that stuff done between 9 to 6. So that way, You're done with your day, then you could go out and do whatever you want to do. Have some fun, hang out. If you have your family, kick it with the family. Do the little things that make it valuable for you to be able to make your own schedule. Because otherwise, we fall into this trap of being able to make our own schedule, but never actually making a schedule. So everything is just crazy. It's out of whack. You feel like you got mad stuff going on. There's chaos everywhere because you ain't have a base to start from. Everything is everywhere. Like, So
Yes, and you're all over the place. It's chaos. So make a schedule for yourself. Stick to that schedule. Make notes. If you have to do sticky notes, make little notes everywhere that you go so you can remind yourself to be on the go and do what you need to do. So speaking of reminders, we were going to do some Black actor trivia, Fashion Dolls. Um, but we're going to shake it up and we're going to do something a little bit different today with
am I
Vega.
back? All right,
All
there we
right?
go. Sorry,
Yes,
somebody called.
yeah,
I
and you
forgot
gotta
to put it
call
on Do Not
it.
Disturb.
Yeah. Oh my God, we are about to have some fun Fashion Dolls for the new year. For my new guests, because we have some fresh new faces that are going to be coming on throughout this week. Vega's one of the fresh new faces. So I know you guys are like, who's this woman sitting up here looking like an alien goddess? So we're going to do something called the Rapid Five first, where I ask my guests what they have to give me 5 things they can't live without. And it can be their favorite football team. It can be their favorite drink. It can be anything that they like that they can't live without. And then the next one, you're going to get to find out about this alien goddess up top up here, right? So we're going to do something called Turn the Tables. And this is where my guests get to know a little bit about Miss Stevie. My likes, passions, goals, whatever it is, fashion, beauty, whatever my guests want to know, they can ask as many questions as they want to. So we're going to start off with the rapid five. Vega has to tell me 5 things that he can't live without. So what are 5 things that Vega must have that he can't live
Um, Juice, that's number one on the list for sure. uh, my laptop, that's basically my identity. um, I think, man, 5 things I can't live without. That's crazy. I have to bring my dog with me. That is just
with?
mandatory. That's buddy. Uh, 5 things I can't live without. Huh? Damn, I don't have that many things I can't live without. That's terrible. My bad person. I'm going through the list like, oh, I'll be fine. Like, no, that's cool. Um, yeah, no, I have a really wild imagination. So like, as long as I guess I need 4 walls. You know what I'm saying? As long as I got 4 walls and a roof, I'm good. Um, and uh, yeah, and food. I think that's it. Right? Did I
Okay,
make it to 5?
we'll take it.
All right,
That's
there we
fine.
go. We made it. Whew. That was tough. Can't live without juice, so I need that.
All right, Fashion Dolls. It is time to turn those tables. My heart is beating so fast because I don't know what Vega is going to ask me. So my guests get to ask me questions, and the audience, you guys that are watching as well too, because I know you guys want to know things about Miss Stevie. Well, you get to know a little bit about me through Vega's questioning. All right. So I'm going to pass it on down to Vega here, and he's going to ask me some questions. And I don't know what he's going to ask me, but I have to answer. So take it
And I'm
from
gonna
the word.
donate, one to the viewers. So whoever want to write a question, I'm gonna throw one up there too. What inspired you to get into hosting and interviewing?
Well, I always wanted to be a talk show host ever since I was in middle school because they gave us an assignment where they sent us home and we had to interview people like we were news reporters. We had to write on it. And also, when I was little, I would take all the girls on the Dark and Lovely box and stuff. And you know, you know. And I would line up the boxes and I would have my little, it's like a thing you crush medicine with a little pill crusher. And I'd be like interviewing them like I'm Oprah or somebody. So those women paved the way for me to do what I do. Oprah and Sally and Rolanda and Jenny Jo, all of these women paved the way for me. So those are the people who inspired me and made me want to get into it. But be- before, I did interviews, it was more so like a pop culture thing where I would just bring people on to talk about their music and things, and I would talk about what's going on with celebrities, and we would do it at 11 a.m. And I said, it can't be weekday topics. It's got to be something catchy. So, Style by Stevie. I love fashion. You guys know that I'm a fashion girl. I love makeup. I love hair. I love beauty. But I said, we got to add some other things. Well, of course, let's add the music interviews. Let's add some actors. Let's add some producers. Let's do everything, include everybody, everything that everybody loves. So that's a little bit about how Style by Stevie got made and formed. And I started right after high school. So I've been doing this since 2014, y'all. And to still be here going strong in 2024, 546 episodes later is amazing. So thank you.
Wow. So in that 500 and you said 14?
546. This is interview
546.
540. Yes.
Okay, so not counting mine in that first 545, who are your top three?
Oh my God, you make it tough for me because everybody asks me that question. They've seen the guests on the show, and it's like asking a mom to choose her favorite child.
Yeah, I
Oh
ask
my
my
God,
mom
I'm
all the time. I make sure she reminds them.
oh my
I'm the
goodness.
oldest of six.
My top three favorite interviews. Um, of course, the one with Vanessa Williams. That's
Okay.
Miss America, right?
Hmm.
That's Miss America. And to be able
Hmm.
to speak with someone who I've idolized ever since I was a little girl, looking at hair magazines and fashion magazines and seeing her on television, and then to be able to look her in her beautiful blue eyes, and then I almost froze up. That was one of my favorites. The one with Tommy Davidson really took me out because I called my mom before I did that interview, and she said, "What if he breaks out into one of his characters in Living Color?" And me trying to be professional, how I'm professional right now, in that interview, that what she said on that phone exactly happened. He broke out into one of his characters from In Living Color, and I cracked. I was trying to be all serious, get my Gail King on, and he broke out into one of his characters and I just could not contain myself. We had a great time. So that's another one of my favorites. Another one of my favorites would have to be with an actor in the North Carolina area, Mary Thompson. When we get together, because we're both from the Carolinas, I'm a Carolina girl. For those of you who don't know, I'm
Mm.
from the South. And whenever people from Carolina, it's the Southern hospitality. So those are my top three favorite ones: Vanessa, Amiri, and Tommy. I love them all of my guests from Cara to Carol to Connie. I love them all.
Okay, okay. So last question that I have, if nobody got one, is if you could be any animal, what animal would you be and why?
Ooh, I would have to say a bear. And I say a bear because I'm very protective. I have a motherly instinct over people. When I meet people, especially people that are just coming up, I just get like I don't know. I think my mom is rubbed off on me. She's a Libra, I'm a Scorpio. And the natural thing to do is be very protective over someone who is like family or friends. So I would have to say either a bear or a cheetah. No, I'm going to go with a cheetah because cheetahs are the fiercest ones and they very, very fast. So yes, I'm going to go with a cheetah, and I'm
Cheetah.
gonna be very
Okay.
protective over my family and everything. Very protective. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, that's all I got.
All right, fashion dolls. There you go. So, do we have any questions for myself or Vega? Now, what's next for you in this year of 2024? Because you have 4 upcoming projects this year. How are you gonna find the time? Again, we talked about balance.
2024 is shaping up to be the craziest year yet. So right now, if everything goes as planned, God willing, we got three films we're going to be shooting: a horror, a comedy, and an action movie. The first one being in March, and we have two. I love stand-up comedy. I don't know if that's something that I get to express enough, but I love stand-up comedy. So because I love stand-up comedy, we're going to be producing two stand-up comedy specials, each one featuring eight up-and-coming comedians that I think are funny as shit, and I think you guys will love them too. And plus, once I have the comedy special filmed, I can watch them and make myself laugh anytime. So I'm good. So yeah, this year is shaping up to be a big one. I'll be out in Vegas next weekend. If anybody's in Vegas and wants to hang out, you know what I'm saying, reach out. I'll be out in Vegas going to the first UFC fight of the year, meeting with some of the UFC folk, hopefully convince them to get behind us to make some MMA movies, you know, and just kind of keep pushing. That's it.
Now, what advice would you give to other filmmakers? Because what I love about you is me and you both have that shark-like mentality where we go for what we want, the gusto, and we never give up, and the momentum in you within yourself. You're just focused. It's like razor sharp, straight path. You know exactly what you want, and that's something that I put onto my vision board. Was going into this year, I wanted to go in knowing exactly what I wanted to do.
Um, I think the biggest piece of advice, if we could label it as a piece of advice, would be make a decision. Like you have to make an active decision. This goes to not just filmmakers, to all people who are creatives or all people who are in the idea of small business. You have to make a choice, right? Is the thing you love going to be a hobby or a career, right? Because if you want it, and speaking now specifically to filmmaking, if you're of the mentality and focus of getting the absolute best, most artistic film you could possibly make every single time you make one, this is going to be more of a hobby for you, right? Because art is subjective. Not everyone's going to see your artisticness the same way. Some people won't be interested, and that's fine. You can still respect the craft and the love you have. I have so much respect for the filmmakers that even I openly say are better than me. Like I'm confident with that. That is cool. You're better on the artistic side of making film for sure, right? On the career side of things, it changes the game because now the dynamic is make a product that is so good people want to pay for it every time you make it, right? And sometimes that's not the most artistic thing, right? People buy movie posters way more often than they buy pristine art, you know? So that's just a reality of how things shape out, right? Like there's art in everything. So you have to get comfortable with understanding like it's a career or a hobby. It can't be both at the same time, right? So if you want it to be your career, understand the sacrifices that come with making it a career. Like, yes, I still, even in making this a career, part of my career path is saying I will be the first, if not among the first, to be first Dominican to win an Oscar, right?
Yeah.
That requires a heavy level of artistic thought process to go into it. However, at the same time, I need to be career driven and understanding all of the other work I need to do to sustain a career that allows me to be that creative with my work. Because if I can't afford that, I can't do it anyway. I would much rather be able to afford the great piece of art I'm going to make, making what I still consider to be great art. And that's it. Yeah.
And that ties into also to today's final thought, Fashion Dolls. Today's final thought comes from Diana Ross, and she says, instead of looking at the past, I put myself far ahead 20 years and try to look at what I need to do now in order to get there. Determination,
Mm-hmm.
focus, strength, and making sure that you surround yourself with people who are like-minded like yourself. That means if you are creative and you have a creative vision and outlook on life and things, surround yourself with people who have the same exact vision as yourself. And I'm so thankful to have the people that are within my circle supporting me 100%, and to be able to link up with the likes of Vega, who I just met today for the first time and did this interview with. 540 you guys, and keep focused. Don't ever give up. Don't ever sell yourself short. Keep focused and don't lose focus, because there's things out here that are going to be like distractions. and don't let these distractions deter you from your greatness in life. And creativity. If you have the creative juices, and I tell people this all the time, live life through fire. And what I mean by that is go for whatever it is that sets your soul on fire. If you want to get into acting, go for it. There's so many classes and workshops and coaches out here. Shout outs to my girl, Ro Underwood. She did the show Raising Kanan. So shout outs to her. She's an amazing coach. She's worked alongside Tasha Smith. So make sure you guys go and check her out. She's amazing. There is China McCoy, who you guys have seen in The Matrix, and he's done so many other amazing projects throughout his legendary career. So there's so many people that you can network with. If you are looking to get into the beauty world, there are so many MUAs and TikTok influencers that you can follow who are very skilled and that can do makeup and hair just as excellent as anybody else. So make sure that you guys are surrounding yourself with like-minded people and don't lose focus on what you have a purpose for. And more importantly, stick to your purpose. If you know that this is something that you want to do, go for it. Now, however, because there is a however, your family is going to have doubts, and I'm pretty sure, Vega, you've gotten this as well too from your parents. Your parents will say, well, I didn't want you to get into the entertainment business. I wanted you to become a doctor. Or I want you to become a nurse. That singing, acting, what are you going to do? You going to do that? And then when they see that their baby on television, they start crying and stuff like, that's my baby right there. So yeah, make sure that you stay focused and don't let anybody deter you or distract you from what you need to focus on. And that is today's final thought, Fashion Dolls. Now, joining me tomorrow, we have Ricky Taylor. He is coming back. So make sure you guys tune in for that. We're kicking off my season 18 premiere. This is episode 2 of season 18. Yesterday we launched, and it was amazing. I hope you guys are enjoying this season thus far in the new year of 2024. And thank you so much, Julie. Julie says, Vega, very good share, and Style by Stevie, love this. Thank you so much. Whenever you guys
Thank you,
come
Julie.
here, because I call my platform, I know you guys are like, why does she call it the dollhouse? I call it the dollhouse because when I'm dressing you, you guys know me for fashion. When I dress for you with love. And when you come in here, you're getting dressed with love. So the love and the integrity that you guys have is within yourself. Self-love begins within. And I want you guys to take that. So make sure you guys tune in this season. We have some amazing, amazing guests. And a very special thanks to my amazing makeup artist, because I know you guys are like, where do the gems come from? We can't talk about all that. So special thanks to Melanie Nalamai Bridges, my amazing makeup artist who's been with me from the beginning, my beauty contributor, for making sure every single episode it is put together beautifully and that I look gorgeous every episode. So shout outs to her. And thank you guys for tuning in.
Yeah.
And Vega, your
Thank you,
project,
guys.
The Hurt We Share, is out now on all platforms. Premiered on Fox Soul. So where can everyone follow you and check out this amazing film?
You can follow me on all social media at What Up Vega, WhatUpVega. You can also, and I love saying this, and I'll probably never stop loving saying this, but like, you could Google me, fam. You could just write Vega Montanez on Google. And my contact info is there too. If you ever need to reach out, have any questions or anything like that. If you got any ideas, you want to work, feel free to reach out. I'm always open to talk to people. So I'm here for it.
And your website, whatupvega.com.
Whatupvega.com. That's
Go
right.
and check it out. And then your films will be coming out for release this year. So I'm excited.
We got a couple more films coming out this year. We have Nico in the first quarter of this year, sometime in late February. We have The Burden of Nine Lives coming sometime in April or May. And then we have A Quiet Road, our horror film, coming this fall. So.
All right, Fashion Dolls. Vega, it was a pleasure meeting you. And I told you we were going to have some fun. This is going to be an amazing experience. I had such a great time with you. And I got to bring you back in the spring to talk about these projects.
Yes.
I'm so.
Yes. Let's do it. Thank you so much, Stevie. We'll talk soon.
You too. And I will see you guys tomorrow, Fashion Dolls. Tune in. Ricky Taylor joins me. I love you all, and you guys be safe. Take care.